a question if you
Sure.
would like to answer or not. I'm curious, and I know a lot of other people are curious as to why such a strong presence at a protest? Why such a strong police presence at a protest?
You know what? Our job here at a protest is to protect everybody's First Amendment rights and make sure that they're able to peacefully protest. In a protest like this, the problem that we encounter is there's sometimes counter-protesters. So that's when it starts to get dicey for us, when you have one group on one side and one group on the other side, and they get mad at each other, and then they come together and they start fighting. So that's why we have a lot of people here, a lot of officers here, more than we would usually, because of the potential for violence if there's protesting and counter-protesting.
Do you think that protesters in general tend to be violent?
No.
Do you think your officers are usually violent?
I wouldn't say usually.
Usually, there's a track record.
Well, we have had some
So I understand that argument in this particular case, except for the violent part. I don't quite get that. But what about in like a protest where you're not expecting a counter-protest? Why would there be so many officers at a protest?
Honestly, our goal at a protest like this is to ensure that people are able to peacefully protest. So we're here actually, as hard as it seems.
So what about this collecting data? Is this for our files that you guys already have?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, no, I think what these guys are doing is making sure that nobody gets clobbered over here by somebody else, or nobody over there gets clobbered by somebody. And we document all the protests like this, just like you guys do.
Well, my question is this: when are you going to tell your attack dogs and Van Nuys to back off?
There's a foreclosure fight with you guys. You guys are being ordered to kick families out of their home, and that's what I'm talking about. You can't always follow these orders. You can't keep making people homeless, and these banks are just doing a land grab. Like, that's what I'm saying, Like, that's not okay. At some point, that has to be not okay.
I mean, you guys are humans. You guys are losing homes also, I would guess.
Absolutely true.
And for them to go in 5 deep and undercover just to get somebody because of a ticket, that was bullshit tactic that your department. We brought it to your attention, and there's no clear example of that.
You know what, though? I know that was brought to the attention of the Inspector General. I know that they're looking at it, and he's the independent guy that oversees our department.
Let's be honest, all those people are nothing but lapdogs and LA people. Let's be real. And the only thing that's gonna happen is when you guys know your roles, we know ours. Let's be real about that.
Well, for today, we just want to make sure that people are out here and able to peacefully protest.
Well, yeah, we're in the nice side of the west
You have
side.
your standard answer.
Not bad.
You have your standard answer, and you can't say certain things when we say certain things, but just listen.
I saw you at Taste the Show, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
My wife and my little kids?
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Very nice. Good food, too. We had a booth out there for the Grim Sleeper. You familiar with that?
Yeah.
And we found actually 4 more women who are still alive that he had pictures of. So it was successful for us. At least that part was. That was a good time.
I have a question. I have another question. I noticed that there's a greater number of police on this side of the street, and there's like 4 protesters over here, and bless them for their right to protest, but why are there so many officers for 4 protesters over here?
Well, I think we were concerned when there was a bunch of people from the other side that rushed over here. I think the big concern was that there was going to be some kind of confrontation, so we want to have enough officers here to keep groups that don't get along at least a little bit separate, so there's no violence in any
But don't you
kind of
think that having a phalanx
I have a follow-up question. I have one more question. Is it normal for protesters to get violent? Is that?
It happens sometimes, yeah.
When's the last time protesters got violent?
Well, I've had protesters for this very issue get violent over in Wilshire Division when I was there about 2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay.
That does happen, and so we like to be on the, like our chief says, we're in the business. We're not in the optimism business. We're in the, be careful and do what we can.
You're supposed to protect and serve the people, not the interests. And that's what you guys don't do.
So
you're an occupying army in our communities.
I've been covering the Occupy protests for a year now, and I see a lot of police presence at those protests, but I've never seen occupiers get violent. I mean, Occupy protests don't normally get violent.
Yeah, the only violence that I saw at Occupy that I can recall were when they were throwing the bamboo spears at us. Someone was doing that at the Occupy protest in the city hall.
So
and bottles.
So you think that Occupy, that there's no chance that there were people who were paid, provocateurs, paid by perhaps banks? Is that possible that?
That's the first I heard of that, but I don't know who threw the spear, so I guess anything's possible.
Okay. Yeah, was that on the
City Hall.
The fake raid night? Was that 2 days before the raid that night?
I think it was a Monday night, maybe it was a Sunday night. I think
it was not the actual day of the eviction, it was 2 days sooner?
It was a couple days before.
Okay, yeah, I was there, I was across the street with my camera filming that.
All right, gotta run.
But thank you,
Sure
thank
thing.
you for talking.